pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Becky, you are up.
Roll call. Valletta.
Here.
Coburn.
Here.
Jeffries. Here. Kolovich.
Here.
Light.
Here.
Ostermeyer.
Here.
Murphy.
Here. Section 2.04, it's the approval of tonight's agenda for our meeting on October 22nd, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll move, Jeffries.
Second, Maleta.
Coburn.
Yes.
Jeffries.
Yes.
Kolovich.
Yes.
Light.
Yes.
Ostermeyer.
Yes.
Valletta.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Moving on to section 3, action items from closed session. 3.01 is the approval of the closed session minutes from September 24th, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve, Light.
Second call.
Jeffries.
Yes.
Kolovich.
Yes.
Light.
Yes.
Ostermeyer.
Yes.
Valletta.
Yes.
Coburn.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to communications, section 4.01 is the recognition of the GMS softball girls that placed fourth in the IESA 3A state championship this year. I thought Coach Maxwell was gonna come. All right, you're here. Perfect. We haven't had a chance to meet. Yeah, come on up. Come on up.
The podium?
Yeah. Well, we give you an opportunity to kind of address and share a little bit about the season and everything else, and then we have the certificates for all the girls. It doesn't look like a lot of them were able to attend tonight, or there was probably a game or practice or something. So.
Yes, we have Miss Olivia Strub here representing Strong for the team.
Team captain.
We are so proud of the girls this season, and we really look forward to seeing our 8th graders join our high school program and then see our 7th graders fill big roles on our team. But the growth they had from the beginning of the summer to the last day of season, which you always want to be playing on, was spectacular. We're so proud of the girls, and I would love to hand Miss Olivia her piece of paper.
Trying to get to it. Well, you'll probably go through faster than I will. So. And then you get to be get your picture.
My mom brain has taken over. I have a 4-month-old.
Yeah.
His older sister is Olivia, who I also coach. This is Hadley.
Yes.
I am so sorry,
I was
Stress.
trying to mouth it.
No, I'm just bedtime routine, but I'm still here. Hadley, congratulations on an amazing season.
Yeah.
Have your picture.
Come on back. You get your own private picture.
Okay, congrats. Great season.
I'll go. Okay. Great. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay, moving on, section 4.02. This is a citizen's opportunity to address the school board concerning any of our agenda topics tonight. I don't believe we had anybody signed up for that. Okay. All right, moving on to section 5, consent agenda items. We have several of our items under here in terms of approvals of board meeting minutes, facilities and ground meetings, treasurer's report, school district, student activity, as well as our FOIA request log. Did anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns before we move to approve the consent agenda items? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Motion below.
Second Cobra.
Kolovich.
Yes.
Light.
Yes.
Ostermeyer.
Yes.
Valletta.
Yes.
Coburn,
Yes.
Jeffries,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Okay, moving on to section 6, personnel consent agenda items. Again, we have the adoption of personal consent agenda items that include resignations, new hires, retirements, transfers, and leave of absences. Sorry. Did anybody have any questions, concerns, or comments on any of these items? Can I get a motion to approve the personnel consent agenda items?
I'll move Jeffries.
I'll second Ostermeyer.
Ostermeyer,
Yes.
Boletta,
Yes.
Coburn,
Yes.
Jeffries.
Yes.
Colovic,
Yes.
Light,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Okay, moving on to section 7, new business. 7.01 is a resolution for the maintenance grant project, and Mr. Jared Kester, our Director of Facilities, is here to present that.
So what we're looking for tonight is just a resolution. There's a maintenance grant that's available that's a $50,000 matching reward. So if we do a project worth $100,000, we'll get reimbursed $50,000. So last year, the district used these funds to install a bunch of cameras throughout the district. We would like to do various smaller projects. You know, we got some water heaters that need replaced. We got some valves that need replaced. So what we're looking for at this point is just a resolution authorizing us to go after that grant money. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions or concerns or comments for Jared at all?
I did see one of these valves when you took us around. They are pretty bad, so we'll get a chance to see them. They are completely corroded.
So you're talking about full water heaters?
Yeah, so there's some domestic water heaters at the high school that we're looking to replace. There's some domestic water heaters at the middle school. You know, it's really, we're just looking for the approval to go after the funds, and then we're gonna come back and we'll tell you how it's gonna break down. So we don't know exactly what everything's gonna cost to the dollar, but we wanna get it right in that sweet spot to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck. So the first step in this process is just getting an up or down vote from you guys to authorize us to go after it.
All right, anybody else have any other questions or comments? Can I get a motion to approve the submission of the grant, for the grant of the $50,000 for facilities improvements?
So moved, Coburn.
Second, Boletta.
Boletta,
Yes.
Coburn,
Yes.
Jeffries.
Yes.
Colovic,
Yes.
Light,
Yes.
Ostermeyer,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Moving on to section 7.02, this is the HLS Emergency Board Resolution. It's the recommendation of the administration that the HLS emergency funds available be used to resolve a sewer problem. The section of the sanitary sewer under the middle school parking lot has collapsed, causing sewage backup in the nearby concession stand. Further up the line, the transportation building and the intermediate school. So it's also that there's a deduction that there's possible other issues that are there. So we need to get this actually approved and so we can get this fixed.
Well,
Jared?
To be clear, we have fixed it, but to get the money under health, life, safety, we have to do that in arrears because it was an emergency. So this is just an arbitrary step for compliance with the state, who already approved us to use the funds. But it requires board authorization at our next meeting to use the funds.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments or concerns?
I'll make a motion to move forward with it.
A second?
Oh, second.
Coburn,
Yes.
Jeffries.
Yes.
Colovic,
Yes.
Light,
Yes.
Ostermeyer,
Yes.
Boletta,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Moving on to section 7.03, disposal of 2 school buses. Dr. Lehman's gonna address us on that issue.
So Mr. Daly felt ill, was unable to join us, and so I will present on his behalf. So we've developed a rotation plan now with the school buses after purchasing 19 of them last year to right the fact that we had not had a rotation plan up to that point. And so buses were purchased, and so instead of leaving buses that are not deemed high quality anymore just on our lot. We have taken off the available pieces that we could possibly use from these buses. Unfortunately, the engine type is different than what we're purchasing, so much of it can't be used. And Mr. Daly also has worked out an agreement to use these 2 buses for an emergency drill procedure with some emergency management personnel. And then we're going to, so basically they're gonna destroy it in this process, and then we're going to take it to scrap afterwards. So there's a benefit to the community, a benefit to the school district, and then we also don't just have idle things on our lots anymore. So the request is to dispose these 2 buses, their VIN numbers and information and age is in the document.
Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for Dr. Lehman? Can I get a motion to approve scrapping the 2 school buses?
I'll motion, Ostermeyer.
I'll second Brett.
Jeffries.
Yes.
Colvick.
Yes.
Light.
Yes.
Ostermeyer.
Yes.
Boletta.
Yes.
Coburn.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. Moving on to section 8, communications. 8.01 is our facilities and grounds update, and Mr. Kester is back.
You guys miss me? So I want to lead with this, just to give a better overview of how this department is run financially. I know that there was a budget discussion a couple months ago, and you guys heard the operations and maintenance funds are approximately 8.25% of the overall budget of the school district. So within that, the funds are broken down in this way. 51% of it is spent on salaries and benefits, IMRF, healthcare, Social Security, et cetera, for 49 employees. 29% of it is spent on supplies, so cleaning equipment, paper towels, mops, all the things that you need to clean a building. 11% is on purchase services, so your utility bills. And 9% is on other expenses, so other equipment, miscellaneous things. So that leaves us in a very tough spot to do any actual major infrastructure changes. So that's why we're relying on the 1% county sales tax for those projects. Our mission is to provide a safe, clean, and comfortable environment that is conducive to teaching and learning. I'm gonna drive this guy. So some of the goals we have are to continue to use eSpace, which is the work order program that we use. It used to be called Facility Tracker. It was bought out in the last few months, now called eSpace. I'll be honest with you, we haven't fully utilized this work order program the way that I feel like we could have. So we are in the middle of capturing an asset tag program. So I know that the Graham and Hyde came through and they did their overview and identified all of our rooftop units, air handlers, water heaters, things like that. However, within equipment the size that we have, there are multiple smaller items that are failing. And so I've asked my crew to spend the next several months going through, categorizing everything, cataloging everything. And so we might stick with eSpace after the contract runs through June of next year. So we might stick with them, but we might go a different route. But I want to start utilizing it the way that it should be, so we can help start developing our preventative maintenance program also. We also support the facility and custodians by managing the budgets and the supplies for them. We offer continuing education for any of our employees that are looking to do some professional development. And then we are always in the process of identifying and prioritizing the projects that support our strategic plan. Now within the work order system, we have 4 different levels. We have emergency requests, we have health and life safety requests, we have routine maintenance, and we have preventative maintenance. Currently, our team is about 95% emergency requests and health and life safety. That number might not be accurate, but it's overwhelmingly the top 2 things. So I would love to get us to a point that we're doing more PM work and just routine maintenance but that's just not the world we live in right now. Right now, it's like, we're just putting out fires every day, so. And some of the reasons are, as you're all aware, the age of our buildings, the age of our facilities. Heck, our new high school is 25 years old. And usually, equipment starts breaking about 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. So we're at a point now where everything is breaking all at the same. And that's our second newest facility. So we have some maintenance vehicles that I'll be looking to purchase probably in the next couple of years. We have you're all aware we don't have a bucket truck right now. We got an old van, we've got a couple of trucks, so I mean they're still working right now, but probably in the near future those will have to be retired. So, and we've had a lack of preventative maintenance on a lot of our equipment and our infrastructure. So that's a big it makes everything way more expensive in the long run. So, you can see our organizational chart. We have Lenny Baldwin has been the head of the grounds crew, or at least a member of the grounds crew, employee of the district for about 30 years, and the guy's a rock star. He has, that report to him, 2 full-time that report to him, 3 total. So that's Adam McCord. And Adam's job is primarily taking care of the sports facilities. So the football fields, baseball fields, the things that need to look really nice, Adam does that. And then he's got Luke Cookson, who's also our other full-time grounds crew. Within that, we have 3 nine-month grounds crew members. That's Brad, John, and Ed. And then we'll bring up some seasonal help in the summer. Also, historically, we've hired some painting crew. So it's usually some paras or employees of the district that are off in the summer that want to pick up some extra hours. So they'll come through and they'll help work on painting and stuff. Sorry. The maintenance crew is Chris Madiri. He's one of our technicians. His area of focus is HVAC. He's also our keys guy, doors guy. Barry is our electrician. Thomas is if there's work need to be done on boilers or anything like that, he likes to do deep dives and figure out what's going on. And we have Cameron, who's a plumber. He's a rock star also. And Anthony Gluck, he changes up filters and he does everything else. Like he's our utility guy. He can do about anything. So. And then of course we have Teresa, who is the admin. She also is the admin for IT and I believe Chad. Oh, I'm sorry.
Security.
Yeah, and security. And she really is. She's worth her weight in gold around here. I'll say our maintenance crew, if you split it up amongst them, they handle about 175,000 square feet per person. So APA standards are, if you're a reactive level, they call it level 4, so just like I said, putting out fires, their level they consider reactive is 125,000 square feet. So our guys they're exceeding the mandate on that. The ground staff, they cover about 217 acres of property. And I'll be up front. The numbers I'm about to give you aren't the best data because a lot of that stuff is parking lot. A lot of that stuff is wooded area behind the intermediate school and the middle school. But still, they're covering about 28 acres per person. And APA standards say it's about 10 acres. Take that information with a grain of salt because it isn't the full picture, but they're still doing more than than they probably should be. So eSpace. So this is the work order program that we use. If you notice, I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of things that aren't completed on that list. That's because our guys are they're underwater all the time. So their primary focus is dealing with the problem. And we're struggling right now to handle the paperwork on the back end, closing work orders out, things like that. I've made it clear to them that my goal is to get caught up on that I'll tell you, when I first took the seat, we had, I don't know how many it was, because they capped it at 5,000. We've got it down to, under 500 that are not completed or closed out. So we've been chipping away at it, but, I try to take a data-driven approach to all the things, and these are, this is where we get our data from. So, we're gonna try to get better. We are getting better, but if you see the discrepancy, that's largely why. It's because they just haven't had the time to close them out yet. So. But I'll say in the last year, we did 1,853 work orders, which, comes out to around 200 a month, because you don't get a lot that come in the summer. You don't get a lot that come in at winter break. So you're looking about 200 a month. So, usually around 8 or 9 a day we'll get in. So, which is, it's quite a bit. The custodial, our custodians handle 867,352 square feet of building space. And as you see, we got Pete Jumpers, the head custodian at the high school, and under him there's 2 day shifts, 8 night shifts. Charlie Christian's the head custodian at the middle school, and he's got 1 other day shift, 3 night shift. Johnny Martin's at intermediate, 1 day, 3 nights. Gabe DeWitt's at Glenwood Elementary, 1 day, 3 nights. Randy Jackson at Chatham Elementary, he's got 1 day, 2 nights. And Katie at Ball has 1 day and 3 nights. Now, if you look, you'll see that the breakdown, there's a little bit of there's a difference between the school, because every school is a little bit different. They all are a little bit different. So we have, so we're operating at levels that, APA considers to be acceptable. It's not really, we're kind of between ordinary tidiness and moderate dinginess is actually how they classify it. Technically the high school is a moderate dinginess, but the breakout is different. So there's the commons area is bigger, the auditorium's there, the band areas are just bigger. So, you don't have quite the need at a facility quite like that as you would in elementary school, where everything's just condensed and packed in and it's all learning space. So we've had an issue with turnaround or turnover ratio, but I feel like it's gotten better. Attracting and retaining quality staff has been a struggle. I will say with the contract negotiations that you guys entered into a few months ago is going to help with that. So I'm hoping we can turn that around. And then health and life safety, we do. We get it graded. Every building gets walked through by our regional office of education staff member. We get the fire department. We have security staff. We have custodial staff, and we go through every building and find all the issues that are HLS. And then once we get that list, we'll address them through the work order system. We get graded on everything. Unfortunately, we're still in the middle of the process, so we haven't been graded for this year. We have I think 3 of the schools left to do. We have to do this building, we have to do the transportation building, and press boxes. So as you can see, we have been trending in the right direction historically. So I think that when we get our new report card, it'll look pretty good. At least I'm hoping. So, I want to talk about some of the projects that we did last year. The transportation building. It's still there's a couple punch list items, but it's about 99% done. All intents and purposes, it's done. There's a little bit of metal work that they got to fix. So that rang out around $540,000. The Chatham Elementary HVAC project, it came in at $3.5 million, and that was the 100 and 200 wings. So the backside, I guess it'd be the north wings, where the special eds are, and then on the backside where 4th grade is. As part of that, they dug a bunch of geothermal wells back towards Pine Street, and they piped those underground into they built a new structure that houses those pumps and that equipment there. The Chatham Elementary parking lot, I'm sure you're all very aware of that one. It came in just over $1 million when it was all said and done, after we had to add a little bit extra up front. Thank you for that, thank you. Middle school parking lot came in around 1.6 million. And that was a new ring road around the backside. That was a 5-inch concrete lot all through the football parking lot, 7-inch concrete on the backside where the bus goes through. We had the high school dugouts, baseball and softball field dugouts for about $650,000. We had some stair treads that were changed out. I think that might have been a part of HLS last year.
It was a Office of Civil Rights Career Technical Ed Audit.
That's a mouthful, I'm glad you said it, not me. That was about 21 grand. And we had to replace some handrails at the high school also, that came in around 35. And the auditorium at the high school, the audio was upgraded, that came in around 485,000. So what we're looking for next year is, I'm sure you've heard it 100 times, but it's gonna be Ball Elementary. Our initial estimates are coming in at, for the HVAC, about 4.2 million. Again, these are just estimates. These numbers can change based on how the bids come in. I mean, we think it's gonna be about that. We don't know. We don't know till the numbers come in, so. And then the roof, it's estimated to be 1.6 million. So, sorry, that was the next steps. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Ball is our oldest building?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sure that presents challenges in itself and probably additional costs because of that.
Actually, not really, because the sections that we're doing, I know that the original building, it doesn't look like it does now.
Yeah.
It used to be a two-story, like when I was there, it was a two-story building, and they had a 4th grade wing, which is now the pre-K and kindergarten wing. And so everything's one floor with the exception of the stage area. And so what we're talking about doing would be the band and music room, kind of right by the library, and then that far, I think it's 3rd and 4th grade wing on the north side. So that'll be the HVAC areas. We had originally talked about doing a different type of system that would require us to build a building similar to Chatham Elementary. We're going to go a different direction, but it'll still be geothermal wells. And then the roof was replaced on the kindergarten and pre-K wing a few years ago. I'm not exactly sure the time frame, somewhat recently. And so it'll carry most of the rest of the building will be the new roof. So it's not all brand new, but I don't know, probably 3/4 of it will be.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, what elevated that project was that we had issues last year.
100%.
But potentially where we couldn't hold school because we got too cold during the winter time at that point in time.
Right, so what you have there, it's called an air-cooled VRF system, and the problem they had, and it was a somewhat new system when it was installed, and unfortunately, we kind of were the guinea pig on it. And so we've learned a whole lot about what not to do moving forward, unfortunately, because a lot of the pipe work was ran in a soft copper line sets instead of a hard copper, so a lot of it tended to sit like this, and what we had was the oil, the return oil, and those pipes would just kind of stay in the bottom, and the compressors did not like that, so they were turning through compressors left and right. So this will be a different system than that VRF system. This will be a VAV system, but still with geothermal wells.
I have 2 questions. You mentioned, so there's a high turnover at Gwinnett High School. What's causing that? On the custodial staff?
I don't know particularly.
Would you like me to answer?
No, I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I think that we found, again, our salary schedule was below a lot of our competitors. So when you are below market, the quality that you're attracting isn't necessarily everything that you desire. We changed some hiring practices and included the director's position as part of the hiring, who has maybe more knowledge and information about the needs of the staff instead of the administration in the building, looking for a different skill set as part of that process, to provide some more guidance and better hiring processes. And then I would say that while it is high, it is not the only position in the district where we have high turnover. We attract people, we have a 90-day probationary period, and it's necessary sometimes to come to work to maintain your position. And so
Sure.
if you don't make it out of probation for attendance, then we turn over.
So I apologize, I'm still gaining my sea legs on this one. I'm not sure what I can and can't say, so she's exactly right.
All right. And my other question was, you mentioned there's a lot of preventative maintenance that just didn't happen over the years. So as we move forward with some of our facilities projects, you don't have to answer all this today, but like, what is their plan? Will we have like a strategy or plan in place to help like routinely make sure these things don't fall through the cracks, especially when we're
100%, 100%. I mean, the first step is capturing the list of everything that we have.
Is that through the tracking system, kind of a thing, kind of how that?
No,
goes?
no, no, so we're building the list from scratch.
Gotcha.
So, that list will include, the size, serial number, model numbers, location, and I'll look for there's a different work order system available that is provided, also does our scheduler. So I met with those folks, and I was really impressed with what they had. The cost was about the same as what we're paying now for eSpace. But one thing that you can do inside of that is whenever there's a work order on any item, it could just be any small valve. Whenever there's any work done, that'll be categorized, and you can grab that within the program. It'll tell you exactly where it is in the building, so that way if the plumber's not here, or somebody else can grab it, find out exactly where it is, and go to it, solve the problem. Also, it'll help with our data on the back end whenever it comes time to make decisions on what we'd replace in the future, and that we can tie the if we have a contractor come work on a piece of equipment, we can save that invoice right there within the program. So then if we're going to do a replacement in 15 years, say, we can say, this one's more of end of life, we've already spent this much money. It gives us a better, it's a better tool to find your break-even point, and, move forward that way, so.
Makes sense. Does anybody else have any questions or comments for Jared? Just a couple comments. Jared's only been with us for 6 months, but I think he has done an outstanding job. Thank you for everything you've done. We're really happy that you're on board and look forward to working with you and having you here for a long time. Secondly, I also want to say that I appreciate the financial information you gave us. I know our finance committee is kind of making it a point that we want to be as transparent with the community as possible on all the expenses that we have. And then so when we have our different departments come in and talk and share information about their budgets and what they do and the cost that's associated with it, I think it's very helpful that we can then share that. I mean, I completely learned something new, which was under your department, I did not realize that's where the district's utility expenses come out of your budget, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, but I kind of get it. But I just thought utilities would just have been a separate line item that would have just been in an O&M, not necessarily under your budget. So
I'd tell you, in my last life, utilities came out of my budget too. So.
okay, yeah. So
It's the private sector, that's how it works.
But I think that's just great information to be able to share with everybody in our community that shows that where the money is actually being spent and how the different budgets make up, and just makes everybody a little bit more informed. So I really appreciate you guys bringing that tonight and sharing that with everybody.
And I do want to extend an invitation to anybody that would like to go tour the facilities, and not just the places that everybody gets to see. I'm talking about the
Fun places.
yeah. I would love to show you what I'm talking about. So
And you're
please.
doing a great job in all the facilities and stuff, so look at that, like, take away some every time, so. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Jared. All right, moving on to section 8.02, community engagement presentation, and I believe Mr. Sullivan is here to give his presentation.
Get everyone in here. Okay. Ed Sullivan, it's good to be back. We are in a second phase, the end of the second phase of a four-phase process to listen to the community and to gather their input. Ultimately, we're working for a community-driven plan based on the data that we receive. So you'll hear us talk about data-centric, data-driven. And I'm here to kind of talk about the data from phase 2. There, that one. Engagement participation. So to date, we've had 821 responses in phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 2, we had two community committee meetings, 4 public engagement sessions, and online feedback forms, and a scientific phone survey. So the community committee is one that we had a wide group of folks from the community that were chosen by the administration to get a detailed listen to what the problems are and really have an opportunity to talk through some of the things that took place. The 4 public engagement sessions were just that. One of them was online, and we were able to collect feedback from people that are a little bit more passionate, because if you're coming out to the district to listen to a presentation, give us your feedback, you're gonna have to leave your family. You might have to get a babysitter, so we collect that data a separate way. We had online feedback forms, same thing that the 2 other groups saw, it was just done online. And then we did a scientific phone survey. All right. So here's the feedback form. We listed 10 menu projects, and we asked people to rank them. And so we're trying to find their priority. And I'll get into priority versus favorability in a minute. But in phase 2, we had 110 responses in the feedback form, 16 from the community committee, 94 from the public, and the online survey. So this is what the data looks like. So the 10 different items that we talked about, we asked people to rank them 1 through 10, and they can only use one number once. That gives us the scientific data based on how many responses, what number they put on. Obviously, the lower the number, the higher the ranking. And so you can see that data here. And I'm going to get into more of this later I just want to show you what this means. So you have the committee rankings on the left, community rankings on the right. We did the same thing with potential funding levels. Here you see that the community, the community, and you'll actually see the survey all rank them identical and very unique. We haven't really seen that, but I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail on that in a minute. I just want you really to see through all that. The phone survey was conducted September 22nd through the 27th to gauge support on potential individual projects and potential funding levels. We received 501 completed surveys. 501 surveys completed is a very good number. My past life as a state legislator, if I got 150 to 200 in 108,000 people, I thought that was good data. So for your community to get 501 is really good data. This is what the survey looks like, the results, if you will, the top pages, if you will. We have data below that obviously the board has, but for public view. On the left side are the demographic questions that we ask: age, gender, ethnicity, ideology, and connection to the district. Now, why do we ask that? And sometimes people are like, well, why do you need this? We wouldn't want to oversample if we don't know, like maybe seniors or people connected to the district. Obviously, people connected to the district might have a different opinion or more favorable that could skew if we oversample that. So that's why we model and weight, so we have a very low margin of error for this survey. On the right side, on the top, you'll see potential individual projects. On the bottom, you'll see potential funding levels. You can see where it says strongly support, somewhat oppose, strongly oppose, and unsure, no opinion. That's favorability versus rank is priority. And so you're going to hear me as I go through the actual data next. Favorability is just that. What do you think of these projects? You might say, I like them all. And in this case, they do. They like them all. But then we make them choose. If you can only pick one, what is your priority? And that really narrows it down and gets us a better understanding of where people are when we look at the data from the 3 or 4 groups in totality. And that's really what I'm going to talk about. And same with potential funding levels. We had those ranked as well. favorability versus priority. So also on here, we talk about Ball-Chatham D5 opinion. So what's the favorability of the district? So that includes administration and board. You know, it's been a tough year. We all know that, and you know that. The favorability at 82% rate, well, 12% unfavorable, for a net favorability of 70%. That is some of the highest that we've seen at polling that we've done over the last 7 years. So that's a great positive. It's really something that we like to see as we go into the further discussions as we move along to make recommendations. So clearly, D5 residents support their schools and are appreciative of the work being done by the district. Now, potential individual projects. We want to build next phase 3 options, and we want to list what the community said. What do they think should be the priorities? What do they like? So nearly every individual project shows support. Some of the projects had in the 60s and 50s. The average support of the projects, the favorability, was 37%. This is a great indication of positivity in the community and support for the projects that are being listed. As we said, you as the administration and the board, you know what you need to do. You know what the projects are. But we want to, you know, and your mandate to my company is to go to the public and see what they think and really get their opinion. And so that's what the next steps will be about. So potential individual projects. The community's top 3, now obviously they're all favorable, but we can list, starting at the top to the bottom, what are the most favorable and priorities. The top 3 priorities are clearly safety and security, infrastructure, mechanicals. Now, these are the top 3 for all 3 groups that we looked at. So the committee, the public, and the survey. And we don't really see that a lot. So it's great to see that type of consensus on the top 3. Safety and security has the highest net favorability at 66%. It's the general public's top priority. This project is also 3rd in priority for the community committee and the public engagement attendees. We can get into the subgroups of age, gender, ideology, connection, demographics, and nearly every ethnicity demographic. So clearly there's the large portion of the district. I think these 3 are the top. Infrastructure is the 2nd highest favorability at 63%, top priority for the public engagement attendees, and 2nd in priority for the general public and community committee. High priority for nearly every demographic. And mechanicals is the 3rd highest net favorability at 58% and is the top priority for the community committee. Oops, I didn't trying to do 2 of them at the same time, sorry. I don't have my, so obviously that's what I was reading off of through infrastructure and mechanicals. Top 3 being those. So classrooms is the next, the 4th highest. Very high net favorability at 52%, 4th in priority for the general public, and 5th in priority for the community committee. Highest priority for Asian subset, and high priorities for seniors, conservatives, and those who have had children previously in D5 schools. That second, or that last statement of have had children previously attend D5 schools, when we've been polling over, my company's been doing this for 8 years, on schools, generally the subset that is less likely to support this endeavor are people that have already had kids that have gone through it. And that's, you know, pretty simple. They are like, well, my kids didn't have it, why do they need to have it? And so it's good to see this as a high level. Yes. Oh, and I'm sorry. We'll have time for questions, but ask me as we move along.
Classrooms. What's considered? I mean, when people are saying that it's their priority list, what does that mean? I mean, does that mean smaller class sizes? Does that mean furniture stuff?
Expansion
does that mean
of space.
Technology and
I
okay.
think for on the poll, that was furniture refresh for
Yep.
classrooms.
Okay, furniture, specific furniture.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to ask a question, and going back to Ryan's point, the one before safety and security, what constitutes in that area?
On the survey, it was the refreshing of the burglar and fire suppression wiring systems, cameras, The main one was those things, but anything related to
Like the infrastructure type safety things.
yeah, badge systems, cameras, but the high value items within that was the burglar and fire suppression systems that are failing. Yes.
And I just lost my, I didn't. So we're down to, okay. Got your answered, and just wave at me if I'm not looking or yell. More than happy to answer any questions. So obviously, working through these, next on the list is programming spaces, parking, sidewalks, student drop-off, pre-K. Similar feelings to all these. We're grouping those together because they're pretty much the same. So they're tied in the rankings. Programming spaces has a high net favorability, is just simply lower in priority. And so once again, they like everything, but then you have to pick. And so you'll see some projects drop off. The interesting one was parking, sidewalks, and student drop-off. Solid favorability, 27%. But we note that it's a higher priority for those in the community committee and parents of students attending D5 schools. That's because in the committee, they got to talk about it, and it was kind of one of those where like, man, this is terrible, and so people that use the system obviously rank that higher, and so that's just one little tidbit that, we can glean as you move forward. Let's say, we pick an option and this isn't something that we can do. You know that you have this data from your parents, and so down the line, potentially you can address that. Performing arts and music has a strong net favorability, although there's a higher priority for the general public than the community committee. The community committee ranked at 9th. So the last two infrastructure projects are athletics and field house. Athletics had slightly positive net favorability of 3%, and so we ask somewhat support, or support, somewhat support, opposed, somewhat opposed, adding and subtracting all this together. That's how we're coming up with these numbers. But it's lowest in priority across the board pretty much, with 10th in general public, 9th in public engagement, and 8th with the community committee. The field house is the only project with a net negative favorability, and so minus 13%. It's the lowest priority, once again, across the board, coming in 10th with the community committee, 10th with public engagement attendees, and 9th with the general public. Potential funding levels. So one of the things we really like to see here is this top bullet point, support for providing additional funding to improve D5 schools. 84% support one of the funding levels. Only 13% do not support any additional funding. So we asked funding level 1, 2, and 3, low, medium, high, unsure, and then we asked, do you not support any funding? And so it's really nice to see that. It shows positivity in the district. It shows the district residents willing to move forward at some level. And we'll get into the funding as we move along. This also shows, and I'll get into the feedback, all 3 levels tested were favorable. They're within the range that we would see within the district. And certainly they have their preferences, and I'll talk about that now. So the community's top choice is the medium funding level. And the medium funding level was $120 million. So this funding level has solid net favorability of 24%. It is the top funding level of all 3 categories. Once again, that's not something we typically see. Typically, the community committee would be on the high funding level, and your general public would be on the low funding level. And so to see everybody at the medium funding level, it's a nice positive thing to see. The next is the low funding level. This is very high net favorability of 59%. It's just the second choice, the second priority, if you will, for all 3 groups. And then the third option is the high funding level. It has a negative net favorability rating of 26%. That's not insurmountable. It certainly puts you at the very top level of where we would want to be. You couldn't go above that for sure, and I'll get into why we think it should be actually reduced. as I said, this funding level is ranked third by the community. The community committee. So this is the group of individuals that get to ask questions. They get a little bit more time. They get to a little more understanding of things. And so we gauge them, see how they start and how they finish. That allows us to see what happens if you engage the community, where do they move to once they learn more. And so that's the group that, to see them at third level, gives us a little pause, gives us a little thought that, maybe that's certainly at the upper level, because you're only 42% strongly opposed, so you're under half. And so it's not out of bounds, but gives us pause. Developing options for phase 3, as I said, the feedback's very good. It's very strong. 84%, 83 or 84% want some funding level at some level. And so it certainly shows a willingness to invest. So now, what does all this mean? Where are we going with this? We have the data. Phase 3 is about options. Phase 3 is about taking your priorities and putting them into options. Obviously, the more money in the option, the higher option, the more of the priorities you can put in. Lower, less options. So that is what we're going to talk about next. One thing we will say is, based on the lack of support for the field house and opposition to the field house and a high funding level, it's our recommendation. Now, obviously, you have to make the decision, but it would be our recommendation to take out the field house. The public has said that it's not a high priority for them at all. And if you take out the field house, that will pull down the high funding level. And so I think that is also something that the public has said they don't want this, pulling the high funding level down a little bit, but we're going to have a little discussion about that.
What were the funding level amounts for the first
So
two?
the funding levels were 83 million, which would be no tax impact.
Tax neutral.
Tax neutral. Obviously, bonds rolling off, bonds coming on. You had $120 million as the medium funding level, and $165 million as the high funding level.
What was actually communicated with the direction of the field house? Keep using the field house and and those things. So what was that subcategory? Was there a dollar amount included in that, or what was that?
That dollar amount was $45 million, and so it was communicated. And so the difference between the medium and the high funding level was the field house.
As part of the survey, and I don't know if it factors in there, like, are there questions regarding, like, sort of like income levels or anything like that steer different results or anything to help level set it?
So in every question we asked, we gave the amount, and then we gave the tax impact based on an average house of $250,000. So
Okay.
the impact, obviously on the low funding level, was no impact because it's trading debt for debt. The medium was, once again, it was 120 million total price. The tax impact was $200 per year, and I think, was that a 25-year bond? I can't remember. 20-year bond, okay. And then the high was $445 per year at the $165.
And do you know what the median value of our homes are in our district?
We were presenting $250,000 on the
That's our
median.
median.
Yep. Okay. So we the wrong one. I don't know what's.
Ed, I'm gonna stop you real quick. We have a board member that has a prior engagement that he needs to leave
Okay.
to, so I'm gonna let him go ahead and do that. And he's not offended by your presentation. He's not leaving because he doesn't like what he hears, but he does
Sure.
have an engagement. We wanted everybody to know why he needed to leave a little bit earlier, so.
Okay. Former township assessor, I'm not offended by
Yeah,
any of
that's
it.
okay. Thank you, buddy. See you.
Let's see here. Okay, it's back on track. Okay, so this was a slide that we put together. We have subsequently had discussions with the administration, moving on to phase 3. What should be the options? How do we want to address those? And I think what we found in reviewing the data that Dr. Larian and the team really thought that, okay, we need to kind of think a little bit through on these things. And so we do have a difference on how we're going to attack these amounts in each funding level. And so, Dr. Lehman, if you can kind of describe
Sure.
what we discussed yesterday.
So really looking at the philosophy about why we're and how we're approaching this project with a high level of community engagement and ensuring that we were honoring and valuing the community input. Ed already gave his opinion, and it is also my opinion that removing the Fields House and dropping the $45 million from the high funding. And then in phase 3, looking at 3 options where the $120 million now becomes the high funding level, and getting a pulse for a new medium funding level around $100 million, and leaving the low funding level at 83 million, which is the tax neutral option, gives us some room to present 3 project focus areas. So in phase 3, the community will be given which projects would be allowable under those funding levels, like how much could we get done within those options. Just for some context, if you take the safety, mechanicals, and infrastructure list that we were operating with, that was $92.8 million. And so the low funding level allows us to accomplish most of that list. And so the rest of the things that were on the list would fit under the 120. And so just getting a sense of, do we wanna do everything else, or is the pulse of the community, get as far as we can on the top priorities, and then address other things down the road? What does that look like? And so that was the conversation that we were having. So making a lens of ensuring that the community understands that we're attempting to be fiscally responsible and responsive to their input and needs. Because ultimately, the community is going to be the entity voting for this at the polls, and we want them to fully understand what they're voting on and be comfortable with that vote.
So obviously now our option 1 is 83 million at the low funding level, 100 million at the option 2 medium funding level, 120 million option 3 at the high funding level. We just have to get the number for the 100 million from.
So we've reached out to PMA and to give us the amounts of what the tax impact would be at 100. If I don't want to guess, but you can do some proportional math and kind of get there a little bit in that. So I would say it's probably, well, we'll see what it comes back as.
Sure.
Because I would be afraid to guess wrong on the record.
On this, when this money comes in,
Yes.
assuming these things would pass, what is the time frame that this money has to be spent? I know you said this before.
So bond in 3 and spend in 5, I believe.
You have 3 years to spend money.
Oh,
I'm sorry, 3 years to spend, to release the bonds,
yes,
and then 5 years to finish the projects.
yes.
Deeper down, obviously March, you could potentially, how much infrastructure do you have ready to go? If you're designing classrooms, it's gonna take a little longer. How much do you wanna do during school year versus not school year? And so I'm assuming some type of construction manager will be hired, and they'll organize the projects based on timelines and so forth, and obviously they know the law that they have to be done in a certain time frame.
So with these, if it's, say it's 100 million plus this county sales tax, that's roughly 120, give or take 116 over 5 years?
Mhm.
Correct. All right, so phase 3 is about developing these options. We know the dollar amounts. Now we have to add the projects to the dollar amounts. We know that the district or the community has already said, here are our priorities. So we would suggest that safety, security, infrastructure, and mechanicals be in all 3 of these options. As you have more money, you then go to your next tier, the next priorities, classrooms, programming spaces, parking, sidewalks, and so forth. You might not get to them all, depending on what's going on. That data is still relevant though. whether you put it in the referendum or not, you want to lead with your strengths. You want to lead and make this a true community-driven plan. We have the data. And so that's what we'll build these projects off. So in phase 3, we will go back out to the public in a survey and probably online as well, and show them, okay, here's 83 million, here are the projects you get, no cost estimate. Same with all 3 funding levels. And so that's really what you want to do as we build out these 3 options. Now, we have to wait for the data to come back, but based on what we're seeing today, the positivity for all the projects, the positivity for the district, the favorability, I should say, and knowing that 84% of people are willing to invest some type of money, we believe that if the district or if the Board of Education wanted to move forward in a March primary, they certainly could. Obviously, it's a discussion that you guys will have to have. And then that will then drive us the specifics of the ballot question. Okay. Hopefully I did a good enough job for you guys to understand it. We're certainly open to questions now, or you can get a hold of us. All this is in the reports that we sent to you, and so you can read those through as well. I just kind of tailored it a little bit more sort of for this discussion.
Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? Ed, thank you for your presentation, and thank you for all the work you've done so
Sure.
far for us.
No problem. It's been a lot of fun.
And he'll be back in November.
I'll be back here next week and the weekend.
Oh, that's true.
I'm here all the time.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
All right, moving on to item 8.03. This is our future board meeting dates for FY 25-26. This is just for public information. We have facilities and grounds on Friday, February 14th. Finance on Tuesday, November the 18th, and then our regular board meeting is pushed up. It's a little bit different, and Thanksgiving and December as a result of the 2 holidays. So it'll be on Wednesday, November the 19th, here at the DO office. So moving on to 8.04, this is the citizens' opportunities for visitors to address the school board concerning any topic, and we do have 4 individuals signed in today, so I don't know if there's a specific order, or whoever would like to start first, please feel free.
I do have a handout. Can I do that before my time starts? Thank you so much. You want to pass them down?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes.
Set.
Yep.
Set.
Yeah, there's 2 packets. And might be extras, but that's fine. All right, I'm back. This is Oakland Piper. I want to make sure that you guys see her. I'm going to keep coming back to address this situation until it's resolved. The district needs a one-on-one policy. I have taken it upon myself to write it since no one else has. So what you guys are looking at is the information that requires individuals under 21 to qualify for the Medicaid waiver for the state program. As you can see, that it is very medically intensive, and not just anyone qualifies, which means that not just anyone can take care of Oakland or the other students that you have in the district that are actually under the Medicaid waiver. They're also homebound, but I don't think that their families unfortunately know their rights. So I'm gonna stand for them until we get this taken care of. So I'm pretty disappointed that we don't have something in place given our history. I don't know if all of you know our history, but I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm going to now. This is not our first rodeo for this exact situation. We had a son, Nolan, and we began this fight in 2018. Once he was allotted nursing in 2019, He was injured twice in 1 week by your hired nurse, which led to hospitalization, which then turned into us having to file due process, which we won without an attorney, and then coincidentally had to file a lawsuit against the district, and the district basically was laughed at by the judge for trying to claim immunity, because you cannot claim immunity on a child who cannot speak, who can't move on their own, and was injured in the way that he was injured. So, last time I spoke to you guys, I explained that Oakland had been the most sick that she had ever been last year, and had also been injured at school. I did not want to bring this up because I don't want to make an argument. I just want a policy. But at this point, we don't have a policy and we need something in place. Yes, you guys have hired a nurse. I have yet to meet this nurse. I have yet to train this nurse. I have yet to see the qualifications that I asked to see for this nurse that was hired for Oakland, who knows nothing about Oakland. So in this policy, I would like to point out that the nurse should be trained by the family, because they are the ones that know the student the most. And then I also want to point out that the nurse should be under a separate contract. That's why I want this to be, this is a draft, this is open negotiation as far as this policy, because I understand there's a nurses union, there's you guys, there's everyone in the district, there's that, has their piece in this. But a one-on-one nurse cannot be under the same contract, a 180-day contract, as other nurses and employees when that student isn't at school for 180 days. So to hire a one-on-one nurse for a specific student, requiring that nurse to be there when the student is not at school is not logical, and that also takes away their Medicaid hours that they are allotted. Because I guarantee a school district is not going to provide me the billing statement that you have billed Medicaid for. So I'm just here again to present the one-on-one policy. I would really love to see something put in place. I don't want blood on your hands, as we did with Nolan, so I'm asking for a change. She is not your only student that is in district right now. I'm telling you, I know of four other students under the Medicaid waiver program that has, they're homebound. They're basically told that they have to be homebound because there's no nursing. So make a change because I don't want to take it a step further.
What do you know about this?
I am Troy Piper, father of several of these special kids you have here. They're all students of your school district, and we wouldn't be here if we didn't love the experience that they are getting at the school district. Unfortunately for Oakland, she's home with me and her agency nurse at home, and your employees are coming to our home, and they are doing a fantastic job. And Oakland lights up like crazy when she is interacting with these people in our home. Last Friday, she had an opportunity to go to a field trip and see her peers, and it's amazing, and she loves it. But we cannot accept the nurse the school district wants to provide. And a prime example is this. The next 2 days are parent-teacher conferences. Where would the school nurse be? Not at her home. Where is Oakland going to be? At her home. And she's left without a nurse. And we will not ever accept that situation where we have to give up our summer nurse, our Christmas break nurse, our parent-teacher conference nurse, because if we take the school district's nurse, we lose our agency nurse. So when she's talking about that one-on-one policy, we want to work with you, with an agency nurse that can come to school with her and be at home with us when she's at home. And most importantly, when she's sick, the school nurse is nowhere to be found. But the agency nurse, when she's sick, is home taking care of her. And we need that so bad. So Last year, the school nurse accidentally pulled out her feeding tube, a J tube, which is all the way through the stomach and into her intestines. So I get a call, I have to rush to the school and pick her up, take her to the emergency room, and pray that we get there in time, that the ER gets her sent to intermittent radiology fast enough before all those people go home for the night. Otherwise, we lay there in a hospital bed, maybe in the ER till 9 or 10 at night, get admitted, and then do it the next day. And that has happened between Nolan and Oakland 3 times at school. Once the feeding tube was broke off inside, and we asked for answers, we never got answers. That's why we had the due process. And we do not want to go that way. We want our kid to come to school and be with her peers and get the joy she has when your employees come to her home in a school setting with her peers. And I just think it is completely insane that we can't get this worked out. We don't want to do another due process. We don't want to do a lawsuit. We don't want to do any part of that. We want you to work with us to accept this policy, make plans for her and every other student in the district from today on so that this gets settled, and then we can hire someone with you that makes sense and works for all of us. That's all we're asking for. And crickets for months. No one can even reply to an email. It's like we don't get it. We just want what's best. And right now, she's home with me and a nurse. She's thriving, but she's missing out. She doesn't have the opportunity to go to school with every other kid like her. And that's a shame. So I just really, we will work, we will train. I was asked the day before school to come to school 15 minutes early to train the new nurse who's never met Oakland on how to handle her. It took me 12 hours to train the nurse I have here, and that's in my house with her 2 days in a row, nonstop all day. So I don't know how I could possibly train anyone that's never met her in 15 minutes before school. It's just not possible. It's not feasible. We just want you to think about what we're going through and make a good choice. Thank you.
Buenas noches. Primero que nada, quiero agradecerles por su tiempo y su dedicación a esta comunidad y la escuela. Sé que ustedes quieren lo mejor para todos los niños. Yo soy Janine Sims. Tengo 3 niños que atienden a las escuelas aquí en Chatham. Uno en la escuela intermediaria y 2 en escuela primaria, Glenwood Elementary, para ser exactos. Mi hija Gianna tiene 9 años, y es el motivo por el que estoy aquí. Gianna tiene varias diagnósticos importantes, pero síndrome de Down, discapacidad cognitiva, de habla y audición son las que más le afectan. Ella es inteligente y muy capaz. I'm gonna pause right there, and I hope you understood most of what I just said, because it is important. But I'm going to assume you did not. Not just because you were not paying attention, not because you did not want to hear me, just because your brain could not process that information because Spanish is, and I'm assuming, it's not your native language. On your website, just under the mission statement for the board, you state, we believe the students should have a safe place to learn. Learn how, if a student doesn't understand what they're being taught. We believe the students should have equitable access to resources and opportunities. Equitable access how, when a student cannot comprehend what is being said. We believe that a student belongs and that they are valued for who they are. How can a student feel like they belong if the people that they're supposed to look after them and teach them cannot communicate with them in a way that they can understand? Imagine being my daughter Gianna, who has Down syndrome, a hearing, a speech, and cognitive impairment, who has had 7 surgeries in a matter of 2 years, and who has been listening to people speak Spanish for 7 years, and just 2 years ago moved to the US. She was blessed to start school here in this great school district, get a paraprofessional who spoke Spanish, and help her with the transition into the new life she's got now. All of a sudden, that person is not there, and instead she's flooded with words she doesn't comprehend even though she tries. Over the summer, I requested that same paraprofessional was assigned to Gianna, since she's the only special needs child that speaks Spanish, and this paraprofessional is the only one who speaks Spanish. And I was given an offer and answer. When I asked why, they told me Gianna needed to socialize with other paraprofessionals. which just seems odd because we have our son Max, who had the same paraprofessional five years in a row. Not a peep until she retired. And then I requested for ELS for Gianna, so I could officially request a bilingual paraprofessional. She got the screening, and of course, as the results we all expected, Gianna just scored at 1 out of 5. It showed that her level of comprehension is minimal. I have officially requested a bilingual paraprofessional, verbal in writing, and we're being denied. And it said, I quote, "We are not going to hire a bilingual paraprofessional just because Gianna was adopted from Colombia and speaks Spanish." Then I was told that the district works with a full immersion program. After requesting a denial in writing, I was told that this district has a transitional program of instruction, or TPI, and that they offer ESL instruction that Gianna already receives. And she also has assistive technology. Let me clarify, assistive technology is Gianna gets an iPad that we purchased with an application that we paid for, and that is supposed to be used as her AAC device to help her communicate, not as a translation device to be used by the staff. Even if they used it, they only use it 2 hours out of the whole 7 hours that she's in the school. The ELS instruction that she's getting, as per the email I received from the instructor herself, I quote, "As far as my support for Gianna's English, we will be working in English names, places, people in the school building. Also, we will be working on letters, names, and sounds in English." Now, that is great, and I'm assuming that Gianna was gonna learn a little bit with that, just as she gets interaction with family and friends and peers who all speak English. But again, Gianna's brain does not work the same way or speed that a neurotypical child does. Therefore, her comprehension and learning takes longer. Let me be clear with all this. Over the summer, when I requested to keep the same paraprofessional, I wasn't asking the school to hire anyone special for Gianna. I wasn't asking for anything special to be done. I was just asking to keep the same person that she was working with, to have someone that she could understand and could help her understand what is being said to her or what is being asked of her. Why was it that so hard to be done? I know the school has budgets. We talked about budgets here. I know money can be tight and so many expenses every year, so I have never meant for the school to spend extra, and honestly right now, I would be fine with Gianna just having the same paraprofessional back, who still works at the school, in fact in the same classroom, and that helps, if that helps the administration ease the process, I am sure they just want to see Gianna succeed as much as I do. If that is not possible, I expect Gianna can get the services she was required under Illinois School Code. Can I finish this paragraph? Under the Illinois School Code Bilingual Education Title 23, Section 228.30, for specific requirements for transition program TPI under Federal Title 4 of Civil Rights Act and under Title 2 of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you need copies of those codes. I will email them to you. Thank you.
Mr. Singh?
Hello, board. Honestly, I didn't prepare anything, but that's okay. We absolutely love this school district. Our kids, we have kids with special needs. We have, we've just fallen in love with the school district. In fact, we were contemplating leaving and moving to Florida, and we realized how much we love the school, our kids love the school, and we love the community. And I'm the father of Gianna, and we just want what's best for her. And we just want her to have that opportunity to grow and thrive. And so we're not asking for anything, it's just for her to have what she already had in place as she was thriving, that's all. So that she can continue to grow and become all that she can possibly be. And we've just seen a decline since that change has happened. And I'm sure as a parent, if you have kids, that's the last thing you want. So again, I'm not here to say we want money, we want things higher. We just want things to go back to the way they were, so that my child can thrive. So I'll give back my time. I appreciate all of you and what you're doing, okay?
Thank you. Do we have anybody else that would like to address the board concerning any topic tonight? Okay, moving on to section 9, adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting tonight?
Make a motion below. I'll second, Brett.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.